In this lesson, lesson 3.4, our essential question is, repeat after me, how do you add three numbers? So we have been working on strategies for adding numbers together, and today we're going to do a lesson on adding three add-ins, three numbers together. So go ahead and open your workbook to page 181. And on this page, it is asking you to write the sum of each pair of add-ins. So you're going to add 2 and 6 together, 3 and 3 together, 5 and 4, and so forth. But before you do that, I would like to go over the strategies that we have learned so far. These strategies might be strategies that you use to answer these problems, or they might not be. Some of these strategies will work well for you, some of them might not. So to begin with, remember our plus 0 strategy. We know that anytime we add 0 to a number or add a number to 0, the number will stay the same because 0 is nothing. So 3 plus 0, we will still have a 3. 0 plus 4, we will end up with a 4 because 0 is nothing. That's our first strategy. Our next strategy was our, not necessarily a strategy, but the type of facts, double facts. Our doubles facts are facts that you need to just try your best to learn. Think about the pattern that doubles facts make. Remember our lesson that we learned when you add two like add-ins together that they equal an even number. So doubles will always have an even sum. So go ahead and look at the doubles facts. They're displayed in our classroom also if you'd like to refer to them. But if you could practice at home on these facts to try to make sure that you know these facts. All right, the next thing we did was we used our knowledge of the doubles facts to learn our near double strategy. And our near double strategy allowed us to either double the smaller add-in, such as 3 plus 4. If we double the smaller add-in, that would equal 6. And we know that the second add-in would be 1 more than that. So therefore, it would be like we were adding 3 plus 3 plus 1, and that would equal 7. Therefore, 3 plus 4 would be 7. So that would be doubles plus 1. We also have doubles minus 1. If we decide to double the smaller add-in, such as 4 plus 3, we know, the larger add-in, we know that 4 plus 4 equals 8, but we know that 3 is 1 less than 4. So this would be the same as saying 4 plus 4 and then minus 1 because 3 is 1 less, which would be 7. So therefore 4 plus 3 would also be 7. All right, our next strategy that we talked about was our flip-flop strategy, which also can be known as our turnaround facts. So we know that if we have 2 plus 6, and this is another strategy that we used where we held our 6 in our hand and counted on 2 more, 6, 7, 8. So if 2 plus 6 equals 8, we know then that 6 plus 2 also equals 8 because we just flip-flop those add-ins. And we have our counting on 1, 2, or 3 more, or our shark snatcher strategy. And we know that if we have 1, 2, or 3 added to a number, that we will start with the larger add-in, and we hold that add-in in our hand like 7, and count on 3 more, 8, 9, 10. We have 5, and we count on 2 more, 6, 7. So go ahead and take a look at those. Over here we have 3 plus 7. Of course, we can use the strategy, the flip-flop facts, because we know 7 plus 3 equals 10, or we can use the counting on. So we hold 7 in our hand, 8, 9, 10. So we know that 3 plus 7 equals 10. All right, so two more strategies that we've learned. First of all, we talked about our tens facts, and we know that these are the add-ins that equal 10. Again, just like our doubles facts, these are kind of basic facts that if we know these facts, they will help us with other facts. So go ahead and take a look at those. We know that they are also, if we flip the add-ins around, we know that they also equal 10. And then finally, the last lesson we learned how to make a 10 to add This was a tricky strategy, but if we make the larger addend to 10, we would break apart the smaller addend. So if we have 8 plus 3, we want to make the larger addend to 10, like 8. So in order to make it 10, we need 2 more. And then we took 2 from the other smaller addend. Excuse me. So we have 1 more left. So 10 plus 1 would be 11. Therefore, 8 plus 3 also equals 11. And if you look at this problem, we know we want to make 7 a 10. So we know we need 3 more to make the 7 a 10. So we broke apart our 4 to make that a 10, and we have 1 left from the 4 to add on, which would equal 11. All right, so what I'd like you to do is pause your video and go ahead and add together these different addends using whatever strategy you like, but I want you to think about what strategy you're using. So pause the video and do that. All right, so if you have finished, we are going to look at these addends. I'm going to talk to you about the strategy that I use, so I would like for you to listen carefully to my strategies. They might not be strategies that work for you, or you might realize that maybe using the strategy would help you. So when I look at 2 plus 6, I think about the shark snatcher strategy, and I think about starting with the larger addend and holding that addend in my hand, 6, and then counting on 2 more. So I have my 6, 7, 8. So the sum of 6 plus 2 is 8. So think about what strategy you used, and if you had to describe it, if you'd be able to describe the strategy you used. Next we have 3 plus 3. Well, this is a doubles fact. So you could, if you don't have your doubles facts in your mind already, you could start with 3 and count on 3 more. I just know my doubles facts, so I know that 3 plus 3 equals 6. Next, I have 5 plus 4. So the strategy that I think of when I see 5 plus 4 is the near doubles, because I know when I count that 5 and 4 come next to each other when I count. So I could double either one of them. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double my 5. So if I add 5 plus 5, I know that equals 10. But I know that 4 is 1 less than 5. So I know that 10 minus 1 equals 9. So therefore 5 plus 4 equals 9. Next we have 1 plus 4. Well, I know when I add 1 more that I can use the counting on strategy. So I have my 4. 1 more would be 5. So think about your strategies as I do this. Next I have 7 plus 3. Again, I'm going to use my shark snatcher strategy just like I did here and here. So I'm going to hold the 7 in my hand and I'm going to count on 3 more. 8, 9, 10. I also realize when I look at that that is a tens fact. I know that 7 plus 3 equals 10. So these strategies you can use the way you can use them. And next I have 2 plus 5. So I know that I can use the shark snatcher strategy and count on 2 more. So I'm going to start with my 5, 6, 7. All right, so what I want you to do is get in your YouTube journal and describe how you found the sum of 5 plus 4. So how did you solve this problem? Go ahead and pause the video and write in your YouTube journal. All right, so if you would, open up to page 182. And on this page, we are going to group the numbers that we add because we're going to add more than 2 addends. So we are going to choose 2 addends and look for facts we know. So you might look for a tens fact. You might just know a doubles fact. So we need to remember that when you add numbers together, when you add addends, that changing the way the numbers are grouped does not change the sum. We can move them all around. When we get to subtraction, that's going to be different. But with addition, we can move the numbers however we want. So if you look at this first fact, actually we're doing it 3 different ways. 3 plus 2 plus 7. The first way that they show is they added together 3 plus 2 first, and they knew that was 5, and then they added 7 more on. So they knew that 5 plus 7 equals 12. There's different ways that you can figure that out. We're actually going to learn a new strategy called monkey in the middle. We haven't learned that yet, but that would help us with this when there is a number that comes in between when you count. But 5 plus 7 equals 12. Another way that you could add this same group of add-ins, 3 plus 2 plus 7, you could look and say, oh, I know that if I use the shark snatcher strategy, if I start with 7 and count on 2 more, 8, 9, that equals 9, and then I need to make sure I add the 3 in. So again, the shark snatcher strategy, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. And then the last way that they do it is 3 plus 2 plus 7. They've noticed that 3 and 7 is a tens fact. This tends to be the strategy that I use a lot. It doesn't mean it's the best strategy for you, but you need to think about all of these strategies. So 3 plus 7 equals 10, and then 2 more. 10 plus 12 equals, 10 plus 2 equals 12. Good, we know we just have to put a 10 in front of the 2. All right, we're going to do 2 of these problems together, actually 1 of these problems together. We're going to solve the same problem 2 different ways. So in the problem, you need to circle the 2 add-ins that you add first. So look at 1 plus 8 plus 2 and think about which 2 add-ins that you want to add first. Pause the video and circle the 2 add-ins that you would like to add first. All right, when I look at this problem, I think about adding 8 and 2 first. So I'm going to circle those. If those aren't the 2 that you circled, that's okay. But I know if I add 8 plus 2, I know that that equals 10, 8, 9, 10. And then I know that I still need to add my 1 more. So when I add 10 plus 1 more, I know that equals 11. So when you go over here, you need to circle 2 different add-ins. Don't add 8 and 2 first, add 2 different ones. So think about what you did here and decide which 2 add-ins you want to add next. All right, when I look at this, my second way I would like to add, you could do 1 and 2, or you could do 8 and 1, and that's what I'm going to do, 8 plus 1. And I know that 8 plus 1 equals 9. And then when I add the other 2 on, I know that that equals 9, 10, 11. So I should end up with the same sum because we know if we change the way the numbers are grouped, that it should not change the sum. So I should get the same sum. If you don't get the same sum, that's a good way for you to check your work and see why you didn't get the same sum and see where you made your mistake. All right, I'm going to do one more with you just to make sure that you understand what you're supposed to do here. So number 2 gives us 7 plus 3 plus 3, 2 different times. So we want to circle 2 add-ins that we would like to add first. So go ahead and decide which 2 add-ins you'd like to add. All right, when I look at it, I want to add 7 and 3 because I immediately, ding, 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 know that that is a tens fact. So when I look at 7 plus 3 equals 10, I know that I need to add 3 more. And 10 plus 3, I know all I have to do is put that 10 in front of the 3, and that equals 13. So if I look at it over here, I don't want to add, and I don't even want to add 7 in this 3. I want to totally add 2 different add-ins together. So this time I'm going to add 3 plus 3. And I know that 3 plus 3, equals 6. And then I know I need to add the 7 on. And when I look at 7 plus 6, I immediately notice that that is a near doubles because when you count, those come next to each other. So if I were to double my 6, I know that if I double it, that equals 12. And I know that 7 is 1 more than the 6. So 12 plus 1 more equals 13. All right, I would like for you to finish this page and do the following 2 pages. After you finish those pages, you may quietly go to your yellow enrichment folder or your workstations.